I'm John, and this is the FSF PopCast 5 at 5. It's time to play the music. It's time to light the lights. Because if you saw the title of this video, you already know what I'm going to be talking about. But just in case, you left YouTube on autoplay and didn't look, well, this week I'm going to talk about 5 movies that could be remade, but only if the Muppets do it. Because some movies should not be messed with by any lesser of a creative team. Now, before we get started, I'm going to let you know that Star Wars is not on this list for a very specific reason. Luke Skywalker, R2-D2, C-3PO, and Chewbacca already appeared in Season 4, Episode 17 of The Muppet Show way back in 1980, which I do not remember originally, but I'm sure Tim does. So from a certain point of view, the Muppets exist in the Star Wars universe, or Star Wars is set in the Muppet universe. But either way, there would be some sort of weird paradox having the Muppets remake something they're already a part of. And this is the Muppets, not Doctor Who. Also, I'm going to keep this kind of short and sweet. I won't be diving into who I would cast as every single character, just kind of giving the main points as why I think the Muppets should respectfully tackle some of these films. Let's get things started, because it's time to get things started on the most sensational, inspirational, celebrational, Muppetational 5 at 5 so far. Number 5, Gone with the Wind. Okay, I'm going to admit, this is probably my weakest choice. I realize some aspects of the story would be very problematic for a modern audience, but if I trust anyone to portray how horrible and stupid the human race can be without unnecessarily offending the audience, it's going to be the Muppets. And honestly, who amongst us would disagree that Piggy would absolutely nail the part of Scarlett O'Hara? And Kermit would make a surprisingly good Rhett Butler, I think. Just imagine their epic scene climaxing with the line, "Frankly, my dear, I don't give a ham." Yeah, all of that just for dad joke. You get used to it. Number 4, The Rocky Horror Picture Show. So at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and admit it. I'm stealing some of these ideas from a creator over on TikTok named Dan McCurdy. He does some really amazing stuff, diving into concepts like this one, and also why Starfleet could overcome almost any other science fiction military organization. I'll put a link to his account down in the doobly-doo down here, but check out his work, and if you like it, tell him that the FSF PopCast sent you. Also, Dan, if you're watching, should your tiny bard ever team up with my tiny barbarian, the world is doomed in the very best possible way. Anyway, Rocky Horror. The Time Warp needs to be played by the Electric Mayhem, just to enhance everyone's life. Number 3, Pride and Prejudice. Now, I'm not talking about the 2005 film with Keira Knightley. I mean, it was okay, don't get me wrong. But the 1995 BBC miniseries with Colin Firth and Jennifer L? Yeah, that one. That's my favorite adaptation of the novel. Give me 5.5 hours of the Muppets in the Regency period, trading quips and sentences and paper bullets of the brain, while circling each other in a humorous take on romance. It's a good way to kill a couple of nights. Honestly, I just want to put a Jane Austen movie on this list because she's such a great storyteller. You know, the ideas of love and romance in a different time when things were both simpler and more complicated for different reasons. It's a wonderful thing to observe. If we were going to cast Kermit as Darcy and Piggy as Elizabeth, as seems to be the easy way of doing things, I would love to see Constantine the Frog as Wickham. The only other route of doing things I could see you taking is make Kermit and Piggy the parents, Mr. and Mrs. Bennett. But, sure, it'd be fun to see Kermit take some subtle shots at Piggy's self-importance, but we've already done that with Gone with the Wind. So let's keep Kermit and Piggy as our romantic leads, and then cast Gonzo as Bingley and Camilla as Jane. How are Pig and Chicken siblings? I have no idea. It gets even more confusing when I would want to cast Denise, from the 2015 television series, as Lydia. The interplay, however, between Kermit's Darcy and Gonzo's Bingley would be the highlight of the show. It would just be amazing. Number 2, Murder on the Orient Express. Now, my mother absolutely loves Agatha Christie novels, Hercule Poirot in particular. And I remember her watching the series with David Suchet on PBS every week when I was a kid. As much as I generally dislike the Murder of the Week type shows, Poirot was distinctive. I think it's because he was one of the original characters to do that. Everybody else just seems to be imitating him on some level. But imagine a human Poirot, as there has to be one human in every Muppet movie, played, let's say by Hugh Laurie, stuck on this train, trying to decipher who killed Ratchet, but then give all the other characters their own unique Muppet twist. It would be an incredible examination of the human mind and what can drive a person to kill, but with some extra insanity to help keep things interesting. Number 1, The Big Enchilada, or Chimichanga if you prefer, The Princess Bride. Yeah, I know, this one borders on blasphemy. But you know it would be amazing. To begin with, I would have Gonzo in the role of Wesley, meaning Buttercup will be played by Camilla the chicken. And if you don't think that's a great idea, it's really mostly for one joke in particular. Towards the end of the movie, there's Wesley's line about there being a shortage of perfect breasts in the world. And he's talking about chicken breasts. But then imagine Sweetums as Fezzik and Rizzo as Inigo. I'm not sure if Uncle Deadly would make a better Vizzini or Humperdinck, but what I can tell you is that Kermit would make an amazing Miracle Max, with Piggy filling in as his wife Valerie. Yeah, just go ahead and mentally replay some of those scenes in your mind with those two Muppets playing those two characters, and tell me you wouldn't love it. Now, for some added humor, the scene where Inigo is asking his father to guide his sword so they can find Wesley and rescue him from the pit of despair. As Rizzo is kneeling with his eyes closed, just have Mandy Patinkin walk through the shot, move the sword so that it points at the correct tree, and then walk off screen before Rizzo opens his eyes again. It'd be great. Alright, so that's my list. Honestly, the Muppets could remake any film, any series, and I would watch it. Oddly enough, so would my brother-in-law Fred. Even if he has said some rather unkind things about Muppet Treasure Island in the past. Fred, if you're watching, Andrew James Spooner is still waiting for your apology. For the rest of you beautiful people, which films, which shows would you like to see the Muppets take a stab at remaking? Let me know down in the comment section. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.